Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's your girl Kash, your sexologist bestie. And this week, guys, on the Business of Pleasure, we're going to do things just a tiny bit differently. I realize I've been talking to y'all for a long time, but I ain't tell you nothing about me. A lot of you guys have been hearing from awesome guests, but I figured when would be better than in the merry month of masturbation for me to tell you a little bit about my journey here at Bedroom Kandi. But I promise you it's going to be a roller coaster. So strap in, hold your seat, and get ready to be like, because I promise you my story has so many twists and turns. Now, before I even get to BK, I started in this industry about 12 years ago. Now, Jesus Christ, 12 years. 12 years. We getting old, Kash. We getting old. Now, 12 years ago, I went into the pleasure industry because I actually was looking for a way to kind of make money and do things for my household and be available at home because in that year, my son was diagnosed with autism. And it kind of turned my world upside down. Before that, I had been in politics and we was out there fighting the fight and fighting the power. And well, I'm still in advocacy, but it didn't really accommodate the needs of my family. And so I asked myself, what other work could I do? And well, upon doing some research, I thought, well, this is the oldest profession, sex. But I didn't want to climb no poles. I don't even think my knees was trained for that at that point, honestly. But I wanted to make sure that I could still do something that felt fun because honestly, at that point in my life, I was stressed out. Anybody who has a child on the spectrum, especially in the newer part when you're first finding out things, there's so many things that you have to be prepared for. And me, I just wanted to find a way to do something that would generate an income, but would make me feel like I had some time outside of momming. Right? It is my belief, and I say this very firmly, motherhood is an extension of womanhood. And sometimes we get that mixed up. But don't worry, we're going to come back to that because that's going to show up in this story. So I went into a company back in the days that no longer exists, and I started doing them home parties, putting them dildos on the table and telling people, you bring the chips and dip. Well, I'll bring the, y'all get the point. I'll bring the dips. And we would have so much fun at these parties, but also I was making really good money and I was able to work a Friday night and a Saturday night and be available to my son the rest of the week. And a lot of people wish for that kind of freedom, and somehow I have found my way into it. But on top of that, I was also raising my younger brother at the time, and he was getting ready for those years for college and going into high school. So I had to really, really prepare for the future for all of us. So I did what I had to do. But I'll tell you guys, it was a little devastating a little later when that company ended up choosing to close its doors and I had to figure out what was going to be the next thing. For a while, I went with another company and I did what I had to do, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was kind of losing my interest and my excitement for this business, for this industry, because something about that company's culture didn't really match me and my vibe. So I wanted to know, well, I enjoy doing this work, but where can I go that's actually going to feel a little bit more like home to me? And that's when I discovered Bedroom Kandi. Now, immediately after looking through it and kind of checking out things on social media and seeing so many people who had skin that looked like me, well, theirs was a little bit more melanated. I'm a little more high yellow, but y'all get the point. I found a lot of people who looked like me and I said, you know what? This seems like a community that I can get with. So I decided to grab a kit and I bought the biggest kit because I wanted a little bit of everything. Plus I had to see what I need a range. I need to see what it was about. And I was extremely impressed because by then I had enough years under my belt to be able to spot quality. So here's a point where I'm going to kind of give y'all a little bit of tip. If you're ever shopping for adult toys and products, some of the things you want to look for is material. A lot of companies back then didn't put a lot of emphasis in it because they didn't realize that, well, the wrong materials will give you angry vagina. And nobody want I don't want my coochie mad at me. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want my coochie mad at me. So I didn't like those materials that felt a little bit too jelly in texture for internal toys because those are things that have what we call pores that trap bacteria and literally end up in your canal when you're using them for penetrative purposes. We don't need that. We don't want that. In addition to that, I learned a little bit more about silicones and what grades of silicone were best for our body's maintenance. And you want something that has a body safe silicone. Now you can tell a body safe silicone, and I'll use one of our toys just to give you an example. If you look at the surface, it's very smooth. There's no squishy jelly parts. If something touches it, it doesn't stick to it easily, like some of those more jelly-like toys. Because if you're using something that goes inside, pretty much that lint or just the fibers in the air end up inside you, which can lead to infections and things like that. So you want to look for that sort of hard, more firm, smooth surface. What that is easier to clean and it's not going to trap it. So I saw that they had a whole lot of products that had a lot of that. But what really impressed me also was looking at the range of the other products that didn't have ingredients in it that didn't need to be in it. So I decided we're going with BK. I'll tell you this, guys. When I got over there, I knew I was joining a business. What I did not know is that I was gaining a family. And I'll tell you this, more so than that, I was surrounded by people who looked like me, who was attaining success, and that was a huge motivator and something I needed. Plus, like I said, y'all, my kid was driving me crazy, and I just wanted to be around adult women who could relate a little bit. And I found that. But things kind of took a little bit more of a pathway because, listen, y'all, I'm from New York, right? One thing I know I can do is sell you the socks that you're wearing on your own feet, right? So I knew I could move these products. I knew I can do all of that kind of stuff. But what I did not know was how to help others or how to lead others. And none of the companies I had been with before did I ever have an interest in doing so. And then I got to BK and I realized it felt a little selfish not to, because in the structure of the business, you get assigned a sponsor and somebody who's going to kind of help initiate you and get you started in your business. And I happened to hit the jackpot and luck up on a really great one. I mean, I think the first week in the business, she was calling me like, what's up? You want to come do this event with me? I hadn't even popped my cherry yet. You know what I'm saying? But she was like, let's go. And one thing about me, we're going to get in there. We're going to adapt. We're going to adjust. We'll figure it out. So I was grateful because I had leaders above me who really, really took great interest in helping me grow. But even still, I'm going to be honest with you guys, taking on the responsibility of growing others still felt unnecessary and a little bit like extra. It felt like it was going to add to the plate. And like I said, my plate was already full. But, you know, things have a way of deciding, or the universe has a way of showing you what's in path for you. I got an email one day. And this email came from our Bedroom Kandi corporate office. I had only been with the company for 2 months. And this email said, congratulations, you've been invited to be one of our convention speakers. Me? What did I do? I hadn't understood that just in the business of keeping my head down and doing what I got to do and grinding, that I had been topping certain achievements in the company. And that put me in the category of being what they call a rising star at Bedroom Kandi, because you came in hot and you keeping the momentum. So I don't know about y'all, but when opportunity knocks, I'm coming through the door, okay? Kicking in the door, waving the 4-4, kicking in the door. So I decided that I had to figure out how to make it happen. But I wasn't prepared for convention. I didn't have a ticket. I didn't have a hotel place. I didn't have nothing to stay. I had to figure it out. And I was grateful because I had a family member who really believed in me and chose to give me a card on her line of credit and said, don't go over this amount, and gave me time to pay it back. So I got my behind on a plane and I went out to Atlanta. And for the first time, I stood before other consultants and had the opportunity of delivering a training for others. And it felt good. It felt good saying things, you know, letting them know I was nervous and that I was ready to come in here and do this. And I'm going to record this because my mama want to see this, and everybody being so welcoming and loving of me. But really what felt great was that people in that room came to me and told me that things that I said helped them navigate a problem that they might have been dealing with for a while. Go figure. But that wasn't the changing moment for me at Bedroom Kandi. It was going to our annual recognition ceremony. Now, in that ceremony, that's what we call walking the stage. And walking the stage is essentially what happens when you hit certain achievements annually. We celebrate it every year at our annual convention. And well, I'm looking left and I'm looking right, and every single person crossing that stage, for the most part, was a Black woman. Now, again, something I'm not used to seeing. That many Black women celebrated it at the same time. Who, what, where, when, how, never, right? So that was something that was a huge inspiration to me. I wanted to figure out how to be like those women and how to get up there and cross that stage come the next year. And so naturally, I ran down on the same coach that was working with them. And quite frankly, and I say ran down, let me give y'all, she was on the elevator. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get in this woman's ear because people kept crowding her, surrounding her. But I found that one window and I slid in that elevator. I had 7 floors, and them Hilton elevators is a little too fast. Okay, I'm just wanted to give y'all that heads up because I needed a little bit more time. But I did say to her, listen, I see that everybody that's successful is working with you. What do I got to do to work with you? She looked at me and she said, you just did. And so I began coaching with this woman one-on-one. And she was also a mentor who was leading a coaching group for our community that works with some of the top performers monthly. I didn't feel like I was going to get in that group soon enough to kind of get the support that I needed. But this is be the first time, guys, that I counted myself out when I probably shouldn't have, because the next day I got an email that congratulated me on having earned my way into that group. So I said, it's okay. It's okay, Kasha. We got to learn how to stop thinking we can't do. And I started to do personal coaching, and I started to do group coaching, and I started to see my business change within 30 days. I was the top seller in the company that month. But what was more important, and this is what I want to give to you guys, I realized in life that I don't really fail at anything. I stop. And I hadn't been good at that point in my life in determining which things I needed to stop and which things I couldn't afford to stop. I had to learn that my success and my dreams were not optional, and I had to stop treating it like that. And I had to stop treating myself like I wasn't capable of everything that I was, because, you know, just young black girl in the hood, why would I ever think that I can't do? Why do I ever feel like I need to overachieve? Go figure. It's a thing for us, right? Because everywhere I existed prior to this, I could be 3 times better than the person next to me, but because of a differentiated in skin, I had to work harder to get less than that person may have. So it taught me at that point that I had to really hone in and ask myself, Kash, what do you want to do with this? And at that point, I had to learn how to break down my success goals into smaller, attainable goals so that I gave myself more reasons to feel successful instead of more reasons to feel like a failure. Because sometimes we set a big goal, and until we hit that big goal, we don't feel like we did anything. And that right there is going to be the first thing that literally takes you off your beaten path to success. I can tell you that first, second, third hand. I had to learn that when I break it down into small bites, it helped me see the vision, but not just with my goals, but with the things that I wanted. I used to say things like, I'm doing this so that I can take my babies on a vacation. And then my coach said to me, well, where y'all going? And I realized that part we hadn't figured out. She said, well, how you going to know how much you need to make if you don't know where you're going? That was my first lesson, and why being specific and being detailed in the goals that you're setting for yourself matter. Because at the end of the day, a trip to Paris ain't the same as a trip to Jersey. So I had to get more specific about what I wanted. I had to ask myself what that house looked like. What size is the bathtub? How many ranges are on the stove? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? How big is the yard? Do we have a pool in it? Is there a hot tub? Are we putting a TV in the bathroom? Are there jets on the tub? Because a regular tub and a jetted tub don't cost the same. And when I started to get real specific about the things that I want, I learned how to shape my goals around attaining the things that I said that I want. I can't be sitting out here with canned tuna, income trying to have lobster dreams, boo. So I was grateful for that kind of lesson right there. And look, just pause right here. A lot of y'all be doing that. Okay. Y'all gotta stop selling yourself short. All right. And I'm gonna say this to my BK family, specifically my consultants out there. A lot of y'all don't get out here and try to sell these products that might have a higher price point. Listen, baby, everything we got at Bedroom Kandi is great. Period. I stand 10 toes down in that. However, it's not about whether one product is better than another. It's about what product is better for you, or better for that client, better for that customer. So I had to learn how to value my dream and not tell myself that the dream was too big, because the more I started focusing on that, the more I started hitting it and knocking it down and asking myself, baby, what we doing next? It was that same year that I got introduced to the institute in which I became board certified as a clinical sexologist. And that's where the next phase turned. But it was also that year that I got knocked up, because maybe I was getting high off my own supply, just a little bit A little bit of here and a little bit of there, and a little, y'all get the point. Y'all know how I feel about that thing, right? So, that was me. But except, you know what I'm saying? I ended up in a situation where I wasn't expecting pregnancy, if I'm honest, at that moment. But I had just come off of my birth control and I had just celebrated losing 120 pounds and out here living my best life. And I found myself in that situation asking myself, how do I get ready for it? And then later I found out it was twins. Go figure. Yes, twins. So at that point, I continued to work my business because I knew I had to tuck some coins away. I was working hard. I was doing any and everything I could until the moment I was going to have to sit down. But this is when I got my next lesson. Okay. My next lesson came in realizing that you got to have balance. Some way, shape, or form. And that one right there is really hard because I think all of us as people are constantly always trying to work at that work-life balance and then family and then friends and then partners and lovers and then the things that you love. And before you know it, the 24 hours in that day after you done slept 6 of those hours feel like nothing. And I had been going relentlessly. And honestly, we was making some waves, y'all. We was going coast to coast. We was at the dungeon tour. We was in 4 different cities, and our name was growing. But my health wasn't. My health was going the opposite direction. I wasn't listening to my body, or better yet, if I'm being honest with you guys, because I'll never BS y'all. I didn't know how. I didn't know how to listen to my body. I had lived a life of ignoring every bit of my body's signals because I have always had to do it. We just got to get it done. We just got to get it done. We just have to get it done. And then life sat me down. I want to insert a trigger warning right now because this one could be a little bit traumatizing for anyone who's experienced reproductive trauma. But I lost those twins at 19 weeks gestation. And I had to deal with the trauma of holding my unborn, no longer viable fetuses. And in that moment, I realized that all of the things that I had been working to do simply wasn't that important or as important as that moment. But I'll tell you guys, this was a week before that convention the next year. And I didn't want to be home and I didn't want to be alone. So I decided to go to Atlanta. I know it sounds crazy, but I thought if there was ever a place that I should be right now, it's in a room full of people who literally have made it their life's purpose to help other people be empowered, feel good, love themselves. So of course I knew that was going to be a room full of a lot of love. And I felt, if you sit at home, girl, what you going to do? Sit there and cry. But I'll tell you the reason why I knew that this was the right place to be, because that sponsor, that leader of mine, was on the phone with me the entire time that I was in the hospital, 2:00 in the morning, as I endured a really traumatic experience. Now, I got to be honest, y'all, I'm about to mess y'all head up. So I want you to sit back and try to process. But on the same day that I lost those 2 angels was the same day I learned I was still pregnant. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, still pregnant. How, Kash? How's that even possible, Kash? Well, I had experienced something extremely rare. We're talking about less than 1% of women in the world have experienced this, and I happen to be in the 1%. If only we could be in the 1% in our bank accounts, speaking that into existence for those that might be listening up above. But I was in the 1%, and I experienced something called superfetation. Now, superfetation essentially is the act of getting pregnant while pregnant, because normally when you get pregnant, your body's supposed to tell the rest of you, okay, the shop is occupied. Nothing else should be going on. But me, of course, I'm so supernatural and special because nothing about my body and my ovaries decided to stop. No, baby, we were still ovulating during pregnancy with twins nonetheless. And here's the catch. That embryo was only 6 weeks gestation. So it was far behind a little bit the others. And so in the same moment that I was processing loss was the same moment I was being told that something miraculous had occurred, and I didn't know how to feel. So I went out to Atlanta, and only a handful of people knew that part of the story, but the rest of my community had been informed about my loss. And they started calling me and they said, we know that you're still coming. Let us know how we could create space for you. We'll protect you if you don't want to be touched, if you don't want to be hugged, if you don't want to be this. I couldn't process these women who I only knew through business, being a greater support network than some of the people I knew my whole life. But they were my family. And so I got to Atlanta. And when I tell y'all, okay, one of our past guests, D, who was on here talking about how she liked to make her hubby watch her play with herself when she mad at him, was also my bodyguard. And she said, I got you, I'm gonna protect you. But she was seriously asking me as we was walking through, like she was top flight security, for real, asking me, is it okay if she hug you? You're cleared, literally. But I appreciated the way that they all surrounded me to ensure that I got through that weekend, you know, as great or good as I could be. But also for those of them who knew that I was still carrying a child or with child, they wanted to ensure that I wasn't overwhelming myself either. And so I'll tell you this. People might be wondering, Kash, how can the child have lived? You have to know, when it comes to a woman's reproductive organs, our womb is extremely magical, first and foremost. But it's very possible for a sac to be holding one children, in a completely different sac in a whole nother part of the uterus to be holding another embryo and be protected from the loss of the others. So I kind of navigated that weekend. What I did not know, y'all, and I did not have any clue, was that was going to be the weekend that I was celebrated as Bedroom Kandi's top seller nationwide. Who knew? Me, number one? And I got to see that room stand up on their toes and clap for me like no tomorrow. I also led my first training for the entire company on the big stage. And just 1 year within this company, I have been in a very different position that I had ever been in any other part of my life. So we went through the convention weekend, and then we came home and we sat our behinds down. Now, it was a good thing I worked real hard, because I was able to tuck away enough money for me to be able to go through my pregnancy in peace and quiet and not have to work and just live off my nest egg for the entire pregnancy. I couldn't believe that this business literally funded that for me, because I had been working jobs before that with benefits and all that kind of stuff. And you got to wait 3-4 weeks before your money kick in, when you got to go out on disability and all this kind of other stuff. And me, it was just sitting in my bank account. I just got to pay the bills every month and sit back on my feet and put them up and eat and then throw up and then eat again and throw up. Y'all get the point. But essentially, again, this community showed me that they were going to support me. They were going to praise me, and they were going to surround me. Now, here's where things got a little interesting, just to make sure that you guys know that there was a light at the end of that tunnel. When I gave birth next March to my son, on the same day my sister went into labor with me, and we both gave birth to our children on the same day, essentially giving birth to twin cousins, 2 days before the world shut down for COVID. And we were able to go home and just kind of, well, we weren't going outside anyway, so staying inside wasn't really a thing when you got a newborn baby. But I was able to actually still work my business, because the world had went completely virtual and I didn't have to go outside. But just like then, my BK family held me again. We all got together on Zoom. We were doing virtual parties with each other. We was having late night kickbacks, and people would start podcasts, all kind of stuff. And somehow that year, even though I didn't work for 9 months, I was able to, in 3 months, generate enough revenue to remain amongst the company's top leadership. So my story continued. As that year, I was awarded the highest individual month seller. And again, wowing myself with all the things that I never thought was possible. You see, a lot of times we count ourselves out of things out of pretty much limiting beliefs. But what this company was doing for me was changing where I saw the limitations. In fact, they was getting rid of limitations, period. Now, I want to take it a little bit deeper and help you understand how I ended up sitting here on this podcast before you today as this podcast host. And that's because I continued to remain at the top of the pile years on after. And then one day an opportunity opened up for someone to go over to the corporate team. And I decided to put my hat in, and then was eventually named the director of training and development at Bedroom Kandi, responsible for training and educating consultants nationwide. Me, the person who didn't want to have a team, the person who didn't think they could teach, the person who didn't think they could help anybody, was now tasked with teaching everybody. Go figure. Yet another time where I had to learn, you got to stop counting yourself out of things, Kash. You got to stop believing things can't happen, Kash. I keep getting shown time and time. I want you guys to understand that through Bedroom Kandi, I was able to build a successful business. I was able to build a successful brand. And this year I got to celebrate being named the number one sexologist of the year. Like, and I'll be honest with you guys, I'm still digesting that. I'm still processing that. I was graced on the cover of Sexual Health magazine this year. I'm still processing that. I was featured inside Women's Insider magazine. I'm still processing that. But a couple years ago, I just got in this business to make some money to take care of my kids. And really the moral of what I'm telling you in this Pioneers of Pleasure segment is that if you are someone who has a dream or a vision or a goal, you have to give yourself grace to be a perfect progression. My mantra is that I am a perfect progression. And as long as I'm progressing, I am always perfection. I tell myself always that I am my own GPS. And there has never been a time the GPS has ever told me, I'm sorry, you can't get there. It always just recalculates the route. So if you're watching this right now and you're at a moment where you're questioning what is possible, I hope that hearing my story and how Bedroom Kandi plays such an intricate role helps you. But before I shift to adult edutainment, there's one other part of the story that I'm going to tell you right now. And that is how amazing our company founder, Kandi Burris, is. Because not only did I get access to all these amazing things, in addition to going and vending at her dungeon shows, I have had the opportunity to be on national TV, being featured on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, demonstrating our products. I have had the opportunity to stand on the dungeon stage, teaching others how to give a little, you know what I'm saying, a little 3,000 or 4,000. Well, me, it's 10,000. You know what I'm saying? Put some tens on it. You know what I mean? But essentially, I never thought that by joining this company, by making a small investment in my business, that I would have these kinds of doors open with me and that I would have the privilege to stand side by side with a multimillionaire, mogul, celebrity who took her image and her brand and everything to kind of help create opportunities for people to get in on it. She doesn't treat us. Nobody here is an employee of Bedroom Kandi. We're her business partners. And I've enjoyed this partnership so far, and so much that I'm going to be right here up on this stage making sure y'all get to know all about the candy. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I want to shift into the adult edutainment segment. And what we're going to talk about during this section is a little bit of the zip, the zap, the buzz, and things that might have you feeling nice and sweet and slip and sliding and taking it to the house and down south and licking down south. Well, y'all get the point. So I want to tell you guys from Masturbation May what some of my favorite products are at BK, or some of the ones that help me discover the most about my body, become aware of it, get in tune with it, and just come alive, quite frankly. Because, you know, that's why I'm always in a good mood. On the worst day, I'm good. Because at the end of the day, I'm a zzz, 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 zzz. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit of that. And don't think that just because you got a person in your life, if you happen to be in a relationship, don't sleep, baby, because that's I'll tell you one thing about me and my man. These toys is the tag team partners of a century. We be like, all right, dog, your arm tired? Tag, you it. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all gotta realize a lot of people think these toys are competition, but if you learn how to get creative, then we gonna get to a little something. So I'm gonna start with a little bit of the wilds, and then I'm gonna show you some of the milds, some of the products that really help me love on myself, especially during some of my deepest moments of traumas and things like that. And let's kick into gear with that. So starting off, I'm gonna go straight to the OGs first. Because when I joined BK, some of the products we have today didn't even exist. That's the one thing I do love. Every year they're wowing us with new things and new collections. And now I'm on the side of things where I get to be a part of weighing in on the decisions of what kinds of products we carry over here. So, you know, if a couple of these products you can thank me for later. But I want to tell you guys, initially, I wasn't the kind of girl that did use two things. One was lube and two was internal toys. I personally didn't get anything out of it, at that point, because I didn't really know what I didn't know at that point. But when I wanted to start easing myself into trying it, it actually came by force. Because after that same pregnancy and after delivering that child for a good 9 to 10 months, I wasn't having sex. It just wasn't happening. It was uncomfortable. It was painful. Anything going inside me, even the gynecologist just putting a finger in to check me, it hurt. So at that point, I had to figure out how to make sex a lot more comfortable. And of course, making sure that I had a good lube, was going to be essential to that because you want to make sure that things easing into that canal happen really easier. But one thing that a lot of people don't know about lube, and I want you guys to get this knowledge, is that lube doesn't just exist for the sake of getting everything moist and wet. Lube also exists to protect the vaginal inside of your body. So along the vaginal lining in the walls, right, the friction of sex, especially if you got somebody who large and in charge, boo, is going to actually create a friction that creates these small little micro tears that are not really visible to the eye, like a microscope would have to see it. But the tears, these micro tears, are large enough for different sorts of bacteria to seep through. And that doesn't mean that you're not a clean person, but if you're having sex on the bed, there are fibers in the sheets. If you wipe yourself with a tissue, there's fibers in the tissue, a towel or anything. You know, somebody got to go get the rag, you know what I'm saying? Right? But you can literally push those things inside you. And also, the surface of something that might be penetrating you can equally as well. So those tears essentially can actually contribute to things like bacterial vaginosis, yeast infections, things that you don't want happening down there. Lube essentially goes in and lines that wall with a protective layer that allows the friction of sex to happen with ease. And it's not to say that you ain't wet, you ain't juicy. I don't know about y'all, but pause. Is it just me? But certain sex positions get me more lit than others. Like, there are times where, you know, you put me in a certain position where my legs is back. You know, I'm a flexible girl. I like that. I like that angling. I like that G-spot hitting. Little doggy, I like that. I love that. Little girl on top, I like that. 69, not so much sometimes. Personally, for me, it's not that comfortable. I'm over here straddling you, trying not to put all of this anatomy on your chest cave. I got two shoulders over here, but then that don't really give me the access to really get up in the thing under there and get up under the balls like that while I'm right that. While you also in the back over here, and I'm trying to tolerate that, hold this, hold that. I got to put this wrist in the bed, my joint over there bent like that the whole time with all this weight on it. I'm over here fighting like, please, just come. I don't love that. I don't love that. Keeping it real. Oh, Tahoe, I know you here the back. Come on. Like, have y'all ever really seen what we look like during 69? Because even for the guy, all right, I got to ask this question because I'm not usually on the bottom of the 6'9". Tahoe, how y'all be feeling under there? Like, do the body ever be on your chest to where it's like, yo, you trying to lick, but you can't breathe a little bit?
Neck hurting, body hurting. You're just trying to achieve the goal, but boy, it is a lot. So I understand what you're saying. I feel
like it's one of those things that sounds better than it is. One thing I will say though, if you use our love triangle pillow, or we might have to insert a little quick little diagram right here for y'all. But the love triangle pillow has you as a way that you can create a standard 69. I don't have the pillow in front of me, but I'm gonna do my best to explain this. It's shaped like a triangle, right? So you have a point of the pillow. It kind of goes on an angle like that. So this is the bottom of the pillow, and that's the top of the pillow. I'm gonna try to get visual with me right now. Let me see if I can use a toy to help me out. Okay, let's see. We're gonna get creative. So say the pillow's on an angle, and you laid on the pillow with your head at the bottom, and up here is your vagina or whatever anatomy at the top. If you put this pillow at the edge of the bed, the person who is essentially with you could just bend over this way, and now their anatomy is neck and neck with your face, while their face is neck and neck with here, but it brings this part of them up, and they can just stand up and bend. You can switch it around, but I don't think a lot of guys like being the one on the pillow. But essentially, it gives you a lot of access to all that good stuff. I'm going to make sure y'all see what that look like right here, okay? Now, I don't like that position. There's a lot of things that I didn't know about that when it came to using these internal toys. So the first ones I'm going to show y'all that I actually ended up falling in love with it's Allure. But I'm going to show you Cuddle as well because it's the alternative. This happens to be on Candy's top 5 faves of our toys as well. But I'll give you the key differences in the two. Now, Cuddle is obviously naturally curved. It's meant to hit the angles of the G-spot, if you kind of see right there. It also has a little bit of a nub right here that kind of allows you to pass by friction-wise. So that's going to give a nice sensation to the G-spot as it passes it as well. It's not one of those toys that is extremely big because it's meant to be the length to literally get up in and hit the G-spot. So if this was the vaginal canal that we're going in, we're going straight upward, upward, upward. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? You see how it's passing my hand? That's a little visual visual MR or whatever they call it, for you, for my visual people. I wish I had some wet so you could really get into this, but y'all see what's happening here. So as it's happening, it's going to naturally just curve up and hit it really well. This is a really firm shaft, but it's not too wide. So it's going to mimic the feeling of maybe about 2 fingers inside you. You can see that there. Hold on, let's put that in front. You see my 2 fingers literally cover the girth of this toy. So it's kind of like a partner doing it, but instead of their finger, it can be this, which honestly could be a little more sanitary because sometimes y'all nails. Anyway. But for me, Cuddle wasn't the go-to because, again, I got all this anatomy. So for my thick chicks, okay, with the big, you know what I'm saying, and the wide hips, that wasn't going to work for me because I had a little bit more anatomy to work around. So my personal preference became Allure. Now, if you look at Allure, it's curved as well, a lot more curved, but the difference in it is the flexibility of this neck. Y'all see that? It can go side to side, back and front, side to side. So no matter what kind of anatomy you got going on, it's flexible enough to get up in there to make sure you still get the whole sensation going just fine, right? What I love most about this one, particularly with Allure, is that if someone was giving oral play, they could essentially move that to the side, keep the sensation going inside you, and still lick, right? So we can kind of use this with a partner, not just solo play. You can use Cuddle the same way, but again, the girls who need a little bit more flexibility, you might want to go with Allure. I'll tell you the thing is these 2 toys are at 2 different price points, but that's also because this right here with this beautiful crystal handle is a part of the Luxe collection. That collection was literally designed by a French designer, and it also has motors that are specific. These are handcrafted motors made for this toy to deliver high vibration, right? But literally in a way that you won't hear it. So that's the other great thing about this. Cuddle is also a toy that's pretty silent, but it's not as silent as this one here. The difference between these two is this one is fully waterproof, meaning it can be submerged in water, but this one is more splash proof, meaning it can get water on it, but you don't want to submerge it in water because the charger port could become easily damaged. And the next thing you know, your joint gonna go zzz and not come back up. Great thing about us is we do have a 1-year warranty on our products and toys, but you want to always use toys in a way that you can best preserve them. So for someone who wants to kind of get started with penetration, but don't want to go too deep, those are perfect. And those are the ones that I started with. But then when I realized how much clitoral stim was more essential to my orgasm, I also started to use what's called Amaze. Now you'll notice it has the same handle. So it's also part of the Luxe collection. Now it might look like it ain't much. And if you look at let's give a comparison, right? Not that far off. They're pretty much similar. So you're getting a similar, this one's a little thicker at the tip. You ever got those ones who get a little, wider at the top? It's giving that, okay? Now, what I like about this is it might look like it's close, but this is also very flexible, similar to Allure's neck. And then also for those of us who have clitorises that are not the size of a little small, little tiny, eensy weensy pea, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about my habichuela clitorises, okay? A little bit of larger ones. This is going to be shaped closer to a little bit bigger than a thumb, so it gives you better coverage. And if you look at the inside features of this right here, it's shaped like a tongue. You see that little line going through. So you add a little lube to that, and it's going to pass by. And when it goes in, it literally bends back to rub past the clit each time. Whenever you're using stuff like this, you want to take a tiny bit of lube always, because lube is going to make it feel more like mouth than toy. And so that's important. So I'll put a little at the tip right there. And then as you see, oh, baby, you're getting wet. Hold on. Be nice to me.
All right, Kash.
Talk to me nice. Don't laugh at me. You got to talk to your toys. You know what I'm saying? Just like you got to talk to your man if you got one. You know what I'm saying? Feed that ego. That's right, baby. You hitting that button. You're hitting that bean, that magical bean. Look at these hands all wet and juicy. I only put a drop. I only put a little droplet. That thing going far, right? And the thing is, it's water-based. I'm just give it a little swish and rub it in like a moisturize my cheeks and stuff. Now, one thing about the lube that I'm using is this Delicious Encounter, so it's edible. And that means that you can go straight from this kind of play to partner play, oral play, all that kind of stuff. So You have, if you want to get a little extra with it, grab one of the Delicious Encounter ones. There's a bunch of flavors, and this one is tangerine peach. That's cherry vanilla. We got strawberry pomegranate, all kind of stuff. But we also have lubes that don't have flavor. And just so you know, we don't put any sugars in any of our products. They are vegan lubes, and we only use extracts of the flavor from plants and things like that to kind of get those flavors in there, as well as I believe it's pronounced aspartame, sugar substitute. But it's such a small amount of it that it's pretty much nearly untraceable. When you taste it, it doesn't taste a whole bunch of sweet. You get the essence of the flavor, but in a way that's safe for down there. So those are the ones that I would recommend for anyone who's trying to get comfortable with internal toys. But even if you ain't someone who's a newbie to it, if you want that good G-spot action, that's going to hit it. And honestly, Allure, because of the neck is so bendy, it has the ability to go a little bit beyond the G-spot into what's called the A-spot. Okay, and that's a little bit deeper, a little bit further. So you just push a little bit more in, but it'll do the thing. But later on, we had some additions added to the collection, and that's brought in our product called Queen. Now, Queen, the Royal Treatment Collection, it's purple. It was actually our first time we had like a bunch of toys added that weren't of the black and pink aesthetic and things that we normally went with. And we started getting more colorful after. But it does have this nice, sexy gold thing. It has a very royal-esque kind of look. And what I love about Queen, well, she like a tongue, okay? So I'm gonna turn this to the side so when I power it on, you get a good view. I'm paying attention to this. As soon as you turn it on, she kind of just like jumps at you. You see that little flick? But I'm gonna keep going. The vibration is so fast. Get into that.
Jesus,
Get into that.
Lord.
Get into that. Y'all see that? I'm gonna keep going. Y'all see that?
That thing talking.
You can literally see it flick like a tongue and vibrate. I'm gonna go up. We on level 4, y'all. We on level 5, y'all. Okay, that's for my Tyson, but vaginas, the ones that really you gotta knock that bad boy out to get something going. But look.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Hold on. Got a little faster. Hold on. This is like the one when you got those guys who get a little variety on you. He hits you with the, you know what I'm saying? That's the queen, bro. That's the queen. So what I like about Queen is this is actually probably one of my number 1 product recommendations for, not number 1, top 5 for couples. I'm gonna cut it off because you wildin', girl. You wild. She gonna just.
Now I gotta leave here with that one. So I'm
You see
taking
that?
home today.
Yeah. No, I got you. I got you because let me tell you,
God
when
damn.
they inside penetrating, you could just lay that right over the top of the, the fupa area, right by the, pubes, and let that just dangle down and do what it do on the clit while the person is up in there giving you that, you know what I'm saying? If you are, and I like that it kind of cuffs and follows your hand. So if we're upside down in doggy, we can hold that there and get a little hit. Y'all see that? Right? So we got a lot of versatility. It also curves to my neck well. It's almost like it soothes the assault that I want in the back of my throat. Y'all hear my vibrato now? Queen will change lives. It also really kind of cuffs under well for the balls. Now, I know y'all seeing that strong vibration might think, Jesus Christ. It goes from a range of 5 different intensities. So it starts low and it goes up to 5. And then it has 5 different patterns that it vibrates between. But the other part about it that's really, really cool is that this right here is made with Comfort Tech technology. And so you see the material, you see that? Super bendy, right? I could literally manipulate Queen a lot, right? So this is soft and spongy. So even though it's intense, because of this being so soft and the material of it being so comfortable, it's not hard and it doesn't hurt. It feels really sensational and it's waterproof. So for my splish splash girls. Now, the last toy that I want to talk about is one of our newer additions. We added this last year, actually, and that's Petal Pleaser. Now, Petal Pleaser is a finger vibe. Goes on just like that, okay? It's designed, now if you look at the surface of it, okay? The surface of this, let me bring it over here for y'all real quick. Y'all see that? Now, when you look at that surface of it, it has like a flower pattern. It comes in a really sexy box. One thing I love about us is our packaging. You might notice it matches the rose in the back over there. Yeah. This is because these are from the garden editions, Petal Pleaser, right? So, Flower Bomb is the name of the one behind me. And that one has a little tongue action and a little G-spot one, so you can check that out too. But super cute box, comes with a charger inside. So when you open up your box, you're always going to get a product manual with it. Boom. And then you have a satin privacy pouch that you can keep the toy in, but then the charger is also in there. It's a USB charger, magnetic. So that's what helps this toy right here be waterproof. You're always going to see the details about your product on the back, telling you some of the key points to help you remember and how to care for it. All right. So with Petal Pleaser, if you happen to be one of the girls that get the nails, I personally sometimes put my hand in this way, right? Because I can get it sideways, or I'll put it in through the main hole, but then I'll tip my finger out through this side there. Allows me to still have the range. To still boom, 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 boom. Y'all see where I'm coming at. It's definitely giving gooch, definitely giving perineum, definitely giving those testes. And the surface has texture ridges on it. So the ridges feel good, the vibration feel good, and everything like that. Petal Pleaser is great for a person who wants to just like get to understanding their own clitoral region. It's definitely good for a partner situation. I like that because it's on my hand. I don't have to worry about holding it. So if I am using it on someone, similar to Make Me Over, like we talked about last week, but it's a little different. So I can still get up under that thing right there and you know what I'm saying? So I always say when you deal with something like this, because it's so small, it's not intimidating. And you have to realize that when you're introducing a man to toys, you don't want to come up in there with, Big Derek. You want to come up in there with something like this that doesn't intimidate him, doesn't look like it's something that he got to worry about competing with too much or whatever, but it's going to feel good and he can experience pleasure just as much as you. I did once take this right here, go like that on the cheek, as if you're about to exfoliate, but instead you're about to I'm going to shut up. Can y'all tell how much I really love slobbing a knob? I'm always looking for different ways to slob it. And I want to slob it in ways that he gets something that no one else has ever done and that he probably won't experience if he ever leaves me. So I look forward to the future, dear. Anyway, let's go for it. Now, I did say I was going to show y'all a couple of the softer products. And what I'm going to tell you is we are equal opportunity people. So I'm always going to tell you how you can use these products if you potentially have a male partner or any partner at all. Obviously, when I explain it for female anatomy, you can see how two women might use it. If I explain it for couples use, you can see how a hetero couple might use it. But also the same way I talk about these things, if you're a gay couple, you can equally use it the same way on each other. And these types of things, Queen can also be something that you use on each other. Queen is also, I meant to mention, it's good for the nips. Sometimes I slip right between it and then just let it vibrate while I'm receiving other kind of pleasure. You can also do the same thing with Petal Pleaser. Petal Pleaser is great for pleasure mapping. So if I want to figure out my pleasure points, I want to hear if you got a headache. I'm trying to tell y'all, I'm going to get all of my dollars worth out of everything I got. So this right here is $39. I have two of them, one for my pleasure, one for my headaches. And at the end of the day, relieving my temple region is that. But I also use the flower petals with my face soap with a massager to kind of actually exfoliate and clean my face. So just giving y'all that. I just got an idea saying that, though. I think I'm going to have to try it tonight. But y'all know I don't gatekeep. I got you. Imagine if you were in the shower, right, with your man. Okay, for those of us who got men. And as you guys were bathing each other and then cleaning each other down, you exfoliated his balls with Petal Pleaser in the shower. You like that, Ty? That sound good. Sound like a plan, right? Just imagine that type of care. That's like the royal penis is clean, sir. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely giving that, right? And for that, we do have the fine scrub. Okay. Now, what I will say, for the sake of this, I would actually go with velvet, and I'll show you the difference and why real quick, y'all. But, take care of that king. If you got you a king, take care of that king. His balls deserve to be treated well and exfoliated too. And they'll be softer in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? It's 2-for-1 special. So when it comes down to it, the Eros products are for men or masculine presenting individuals, and it has a really, really sultry smell. Eros being named after the son of Aphrodite and Cupid. So he's almost like, the junior god of love. So it is inspired name-wise by Greek mythology. But when you open up fine, you'll see that this is a more unrefined scrub. It's a salt-based scrub that a man can use to exfoliate his skin and keep himself well. It's really important that men take care of themselves in that way, and that a lot of times, a lot of guys who don't have that usually have to get introduced to it by a woman. So maybe your mom might be telling you how to take care of that skin as his woman. You might say to him, baby, you know what? I noticed that you don't really get to put much into your skin. It could be a great quality time thing. Like I said, y'all take that shower together. Y'all wash each other down. You exfoliate his skin. You rinse him off. You come up for a kiss in between, a little hug, and tell him he's fine and feed him affirmations. Baby, you are everything. You are Eros. You my nasty freak in his sheets. You know what I'm saying? He's a gentleman by day, but beast by night. You feel what I'm saying? And you feed that kind of thing to each other. And that really helps build up ego. It really helps build up confidence and make them, into each day ready to take on the world. But equally, we need the same as well. And for the sake of that balls exfoliation, because I wouldn't use fine on that area because it is a salt scrub and it's a little bit more refined. So the balls are very sensitive. That might be uncomfortable. But Velvet, on the other hand, now this right here is my number one favorite Bed Bath body product at Bedroom Kandi, period. Nothing beats it for me. And that's just because at the same time that I was going through my pregnancy and all those types of things, I'm high yellow, y'all. So I'm going to be honest. For a long time in my life, I didn't think that moisturizing was necessary. Until one day I took my sock off and it looked like the sock was still on. Looked like I still had on a white tube sock. That's how ashy these bad boys were. And that was the day that I learned that my light skinnedness did not exempt me. So I also just didn't have a lot of time. I didn't have a lot of time to have brown sugar moments, India Ari, I'm in love with my skin moments. I wish I had 30 minutes. I wish I could find 30 minutes. But I did mention to y'all earlier, I had a special needs child and I was still raising another one. And then I had another one. Sorry, because a lot going on there. I don't often have time. I work a lot of businesses. I'm always working hard. This was the product that changed my ability to care for my skin. Many of you looking at me right now might not ever know that I have eczema. And I don't know the last time my skin has reacted or had any flare up or irritation or rashes in the sense that I'm like, Jesus Christ, my eczema is going crazy. And that's because of Velvet. Now, the reason why I love Velvet is because this sugar scrub basically just added about 2 to 3 minutes to my already regular shower bath routine. And so I would go wash, do my thing, get my girl right, use my balanced soap bar, or my pure soap bar. That's one of our great soap bars we have that has charcoal in it, which is really good for helping that evening skin complexion, especially for my thick girls with thick lives that don't always save lives because they be chafing. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? So I use those things. But before I get out the shower, I take the scrub and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Y'all, because this is my jar. Y'all see it's dug up in there. You see the fingerprints. This is a new one. I keep about 40s on deck at all times. But y'all see where my fingers was like, up in there. So with Velvet, I'm going to take a tiny bit because it's a very, very moisture-rich product. And I'm going to just show you on my arm what it be here for. Right here. So if you look at this part of my skin be looking a little shiny already. So don't, but look at that. You can see it still. And I'm not ashy. But we're getting a really good exfoliation in. You can barely see it. And because it is made with an organic sugar and a part of our Given Tree collection, which basically means that it's laced with shea butters and cocoa butters and apricot kernel oils, safflower oils, sunflower oils. All these things are in the product that's going to help get a light. Look at that. Jesus Christ, girl. I'm going to tell y'all, it looks really good under a blue light, too. It'll make you look like something like straight out of an erotic, I don't know, but it was definitely giving Shea Butter Sister. Shea Butter Sister right here. It's definitely giving, I spend $30 on my skincare per product. But anyway, with this one right here, as you're kind of rubbing it in the water, the sugar melts down, just like sugar would if you were using sugar in, making Kool-Aid or whatever. People still make Kool-Aid? Do people still make Kool-Aid?
People still make Kool-Aid.
Okay, good. I don't know what to say. I ain't want to be telling y'all how ghetto I am. Because I definitely like a little hey, and a little bit of the big Kool-Aid guy who used to kick through. I'm still kicking through doors with some Kool-Aid. Now, it's just like the sugar. So you get a little warm water, it's going to start to kind of melt off as the moisture elements remain on your skin. It smells amazing. And it comes in different fragrances. This one right here is Grateful, but we also have Island Joy and Timeless Grace. So I found that just by taking this here, I'm going to just scrub it off real quick. Tahoe's going to kill me, but you know what, Tahoe, it's just going to melt off when you mop, okay?
It's all right. I love some Eros product.
Yes, I'm telling you. You know Eros is not, it don't even stain, y'all. I'm telling y'all, it don't even stain. So anyway, I'm just kind of obsessed with looking at my arm every time I see it in the frame. I'm like, Jesus Christ, girl, I thought I was moisturized. But with this one right here, I realized that I could get that great lustrous skin without having to have a whole 30-minute process and layer in 20 different products and whatever the case is. And when I came out my shower, I let myself air dry so that my body can absorb all that moisture. Just a fun tip when it comes to skincare, especially with your face. You always want to put on your thickest moisturizers at nighttime for the most part, because that's when your body is going to go into a sleep state and absorb the most of it and really, really, really kind of give that nutrition to your skin that it needs to not dry out, especially if you're someone who does have a skin condition like I do, that you want to make sure that you're actually not just coating the surface of your skin with moisture, but you're actually allowing the moisture to penetrate your skin and really get up in there. So best at night. However, this is great before you're going to get into a pool, because it'll help your skin not dry out. So if you're going on vacations, you're going on trips, or you're going to the ocean or whatever the case is, this will help protect your skin from that itchy irritationness that you can sometimes get when you get into chlorine or when you step into salt water. So I love it for all those reasons. And naturally, just walking down the street and the sun hitting your skin, you're going to be glistening. So this is the counterpart to Fine. This is the one I would use while you're moisturizing those balls, because they're going to come out just as shiny as, you know what I'm saying, this forearm right here. And what's not better than some shiny looking balls, you know? Now, I will tell you guys, for the vulva region, we do have a vulva balm called Revitalize Me. I don't use this in my vagina area, but I do use it in the lining of where you shave, because it can actually, that moisture can help with the irritation that sometimes come from shaving. But Revitalize Me is going to be the thing that helps that whole region stay nice and soft and supple and edible, because I want to be eaten. I want to be devoured. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Snacks in between. You know what I'm saying? I'm a whole meal. You know? So that's my favorite body product. The last two that I want to give you guys before we cut up out of here, and I'll give you a few different things to understand about Bedroom Kandi, and if you want to come over here with us, is one, I'm going to tell y'all, at the tender age of 35, I am now perimenopausal. And I've been talking about this product to my older girls who I knew who was going through the change. I didn't realize I was going to have to dig into this recently, this week. This right here, I didn't realize I was going to need it, but this right here is called Keep Your Cool. And because it's also warm weather in the regions that typically have 4 seasons, and if you're in a region that's always warm, you won't want this too. This Keep Your Cool essentially is a formula from our wellness collection that literally allows you to hit yourself just like that. And it's their instant cool down. Like instant cool down. This is great for my gym people, okay? When you out there doing your thing or whatever the case is, and you just had a good workout, and you may not be going straight home to shower, or you may not have time to do all the extra stuff, but even if you do, you just want an instant cool down from a nice workout. I will tell you, after you do your workout and you're about to do your stretch and your wind down, hit yourself with this. It's going to help you get a nice serenity and calm. It reminds me of a spa-like fragrance when you smell it. So it's light, it's crisp, it's airy, and it feels fresh, right? So this right here is not going to leave my fanny pack, because I am now at the phase where I'm experiencing hot flashes. Go figure. But I am okay, because Bedroom Kandi had me together. So I'll keep your cool. I'll tell you this, though. Before y'all go yelling at that man, you know what I'm saying? He got you hot. Could you imagine Tahoe if he was in an argument and the chick was like, yo, this...
She turn around and spray herself? I don't know, bro.
Would you be scared?
Nah, yeah, whatever you want to do, baby. My bad.
that I ain't gonna lie.
You ain't just gonna spray yourself mid-argument.
If a dude did that, I ain't gonna hold you. I would definitely be like, oh, okay. He tried not to make this a relationship with violence domestically. All right. You know what, babe? I'm sorry. You got it. We will pick and choose the battle today. But literally, if you get hot or after you get busy, you know what I'm saying? Because if you did it right, you're going to need to keep some cool. You're going to need to keep some cool. I actually, again, I really like to take care of his balls, y'all. I just want y'all to know that. I really like to take care of his balls. So I have to give it a little sloppy, you know what I'm saying? He came, and I think I talked about this on your podcast once. I do air dry his balls with my mouth. Mm-hmm. And as I am cleaning him off with the cloth or whatever, I'm with a nice cool breeze. But if you take that and you hit a little spritz on the balls, y'all got to know that area of their body is already always hot. You know what I'm saying? And it's a hot pocket down there. If you put your hand up under their balls at any time in the wintertime, you're going to instantly warm up. But I like to find ways to, incorporate these products in because it's natural. I know it's not going to be something that gets to them. So that's that. And then lastly, but not least, and I'm not going to talk about it in depth because on my face, I have on very natural makeup today. My makeup is BK. I use my BK makeup brushes for it, which really helped me because I'm not a makeup girl and I typically pay someone to do it. But as I've been learning and watching tutorials on how to do makeup and trying to remember which brush for what, our brushes actually have words on them. This one says glow up, right? This one right here, if you look at it, is going to say natural beauty. So this lets me know this is my natural foundation brush. This one right here, if you look at it, is going to say set your intentions. So this is great for setting, my setting powder, right? So if you can't remember, it literally has things on it that tells you what to go ahead and do it. So this one right here, throw some shade. Our eyeshadow is called Throwing Shades. So it's meant to help you understand that this is something that you can use for your eye makeup and so on and so forth. So you'll kind of go through and you'll kind of play with every brush. This one here, don't blend in. So this is a blender. Okay. On my eyes, I'm actually wearing one of our Throwing Shades natural palettes. So if you're the kind of girl who doesn't want makeup to cake on and make you look like another person, you want something that still looks like you, but kind of takes up the look and a little soft glam. You see me? I'm throwing shade. But these makeup brushes were also featured on Oprah's favorite things. We made Oprah's favorite things, and that's a list that's hard to make. The thing I love about this case is, as you see, I'm in it right here, but I can also unsnap. Boom, boom. I take it right here. Now, the brushes have the plastic parts that you can slide up, but just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to do this very quickly. You'll slide this down. You snap it, and it's instantly a carrying case, right? But you can leave it on your countertop in your bathrooms and stuff like that, or you can separate it. And sometimes I use this cup to hold things like my mascara, my eye pencils or whatever. And then once I'm done, I put those back into the makeup bag, put this back on top, and we on the go. It's sexy, it's rose gold, it's cute, it says candy coated. Just these brushes are definitely one of my favorite essentials. I know many a times, but now I'm getting better because I did my own makeup today. I think I did good. Come in the comments, tell me, did I do a good job? Is she giving 90s beauty? Because that's what I was going for. I was going for that 90s good look. You know what I'm saying? With the thick, natural, kinky, you know what I'm saying? So this right here, and then I use our lipsticks as well. As you can tell, this is my lipstick. Look at the tube. Look at the damn tube. It's about to break damn at the top. I'll be in here. This right here is soft spoken. It's a natural peachy kind of color. And gives a nice contrast for my brown lip line. Just to make my lips have a soft, natural look, but the brown lip liner is going to help the definition of your lips pop. If you have thinner lips and you want to give more volume, use the lip liner on the outer line. But because I'm a juicy lip girl, I go on the inner line because I don't want my lips to look much bigger than they are. But these right here, guys, are some of my favorites at BK. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I use a ton of our products, but if I pulled out the ones that I know I touch every week or every day to give to you guys today, during this merry month of masturbation May, because I want y'all to have the tools to get to it, whether you're doing it solo or together. My last tip that I want to leave you all with is that if you are not sure what brings you pleasure, you really want to take time to map your body and use different things, find different sensations. If you want to range it, you can always amplify it with different things. A warming lube, which actually goes on cool and warms up with friction. You can also add in things like our arousal balms and things like that. That's going to make things more sensitive. So if you're one of those girls, this is for my brothers. I got y'all for this one. If you know you take 10 years to come, okay? You know, he down there working relentlessly, neck hurting, back aching, fingers is cramping inside you. You know what I'm saying? He's stroking, knees crying, Charlie's court, all that stuff.
Talk to him.
You know that you're a little bit of a difficult one. Get you an arousal gel. Just rub it on your clit. Jumpstart the coochie. How you rev it up? Jumpstart the coochie. Like in the wintertime, sometimes you gotta let the car warm up. Warm up the car so that by the time he gets to it, it's already prepped. If you meal prepping your food, prep the coochie. Prep the coochie. gonna make it a little easier for you, boo. I put a little bit of lube sometimes before we even start having sex. Nobody got time to be. And it's not to say that I don't get wet on my own, but y'all know how this goes. Sometimes we only got 10 minutes. Sometimes we only got 10 minutes. I'm trying to get lit. And some of y'all only got 10 minutes. I'm going to leave that where I left that. Womp, womp, womp. Eat your fruits and vegetables, kids. Anyway, closing out. I'm shifting to our Money Making Monday, and I want to let you guys know, you guys can clearly tell that I get high on my own supply. A lot of times people are talking to you about products and they're selling stuff because they have something invested in it. There's not really much in it for me if you get off. You know what I'm saying? I'm just happy you got some. But it is my power and my pleasure to always be out here changing lives one orgasm at a time. That's what I do as your sexologist bestie. I'm your Wonder Woman of pleasure, coming with the lasso of realness and truth, boo. I'm never going to lie to you. There are equally products that I love, but there are products at Bedroom Kandi that are not for me. Not that they're not good, but they're not for me. So you have to hear how I'm talking about these products, or any of the people who got to experience them or play with them on our show, and say, you know what, that sounds like what I need. Don't buy things because of the price alone. A lot of times people do that. Don't buy things because everybody think it's popular, because a lot of y'all went out there and rushed to get that other flower thing or whatever the case is, and some of y'all clits is a little fried rice. MSG on it too, because y'all ain't got no good soap bars from Bedroom Kandi. You know what I'm saying? Don't have them going down there and tasting MSG when he go to lick that bean. And that goes for you guys too with your balls, because it be, tasting like a little bit of nacho cheese.
Not cheese.
Yeah. I definitely, it smells like a Dorito and it tastes like a fried wing that been fried in the same oil in a Chinese restaurant a couple times. When you don't. Anyway. Comes out through your pores, y'all. Don't be putting that in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing it in my mouth. I like a little bit of a hint of warn on it, but not to the point that it's like, yo, bro, you about to drive up my blood sugar. We got to look out for each other. So those are those. If you are interested in anything that I said, trying out the products, I always say the best way to do it is actually to join us. Right now, you can literally join us for free using the code word Audacity. If you go to bedroomkandi.com and join using the code word Audacity, you can add one of our free $19 kits to the basket. It's going to literally take off those that cost with time you get to checkout. It will ask you for you to put your email and your info and your card info in, not because it's going to charge you now, but because every month we do have a monthly admin fee of $19 in order to keep your website up. That's a very small overhead for a business. It is very expensive to start a business. And for us, you can start one for free and you can do it with minimal overhead. I always tell you that if you always want to work to sell something to make your investment back, and really selling almost one product essentially pays your monthly fee. Everything else on top of that is profit, baby. But you can use your own discount, and at Bedroom Kandi, that ranges from 30 to 55% take home. There's not a lot of places you can go and take that much money home in pocket. At 55%, baby, you make it more than BK. You can literally profit that on a regular basis, but you can add products and use your own discount to get the products you may want to use or try. We always have gift sets going on. And let's just say this, if we discount a gift set for 20%, you still going to get your discount on top of that. So that's one way that you can enjoy some of the products. But also, if you're selling them, or if you don't really want to go adamantly, you just get a website link and hang it in your bio because you got a great social media. Go live, talk about the product you just tried, and you'd be surprised on who might want to buy. It doesn't have to be that complicated, but if you're really serious and you want to go hard in this business, you can do it by working and doing parties. You can do virtual parties. We give you the materials, many of the guidebooks that I've created literally to help you lead workshops with information from a board certified clinical sexologist at your disposal. All of these resources you don't get anywhere else that you go to start up a business. You get access to training, and you get to enjoy training with not just me, but also our other master trainer, Frida Hobbs, where we come on, we help you get started, and your sponsor, just like my sponsors helped me and looked out for me, will help look out for you. Either way, it's up to you whether you want to join a family that's really about that life and will really hold you down, but also come to the place where sexy meets success and where we put the fun in the funds. Go over to bedroomkandi.com, y'all. I know if you watch this episode, you open off of something. But for now, I'm hoping that you're enjoying your masturbation May. And make sure y'all come back and check in on the Business of Pleasure podcast with your girl Kash. And I cannot wait because I plan to put some other individuals on this couch that's going to really help expand your relationship with pleasure, with wellness, and with yourself. Until then, bye, y'all.